Hello, students. Welcome to the fourth episode of our CIP Project Welding. Our lesson is about writing conclusions and recommendations using active and passive voice. But before we proceed with our new lesson, let us try to refresh our previous one. I would like you to write the following statements in the passive voice. Are you ready? Let's begin. The shielded metal arc and welding students created the foldable metallic chair in the science laboratory. The verb in this sentence is created. What is the passive voice of this statement? Good job! The correct answer is the foldable metallic chair in the science laboratory was created by the shielded metal arc and welding students. Let's try another one. Several researchers explained the importance of welding skills among 21st century learners. The verb in this sentence is explained. What is the passive voice of this statement? You got it correct. The correct answer is the importance of welding skills among 21st century learners was explained by several researchers. Let's have the next sentence. 36 participants tried the newly welded monkey bars in the school gymnasium. The verb is tried. What is the passive voice of this statement? Very good! The correct answer is the newly welded monkey bars in the school gymnasium were tried by the 36 participants. Let's have the next one. The SMAU teacher trained his students the basic skills of measuring iron bars for welding a gate. The verb is trained. What is the passive voice of this statement? Good job! The correct answer is the students were trained by the SMAU teacher the basic skills in measuring iron bars for welding a gate. Let's have the last sentence. The trainee showed positive attitudes toward the audiovisual instructions in teaching welding. The verb in this sentence is showed. What is the passive voice of this statement? You got it correct. The correct answer is positive attitudes toward the audiovisual instructions in teaching welding were shown by the trainee. Congratulations! It appears that you already mastered the rules in transforming active voice to passive voice. This time, I want you to pay attention to the paragraph being presented. Based on the aforementioned findings, the following conclusions were derived. Public commuters are still willing to use the new fare collection system even after the pandemic, for they experience improvement in their overall commute routine. In addition, the smart card can be used for other means like hotel accommodations and food stalls. My question is, what part of research is presented? Very good! This is the conclusion. Conclusion helps the reader understand why your research should matter to them after they have finished reading the paper. A conclusion is not merely a summary of your points or a restatement of your research problem, but a synthesis of key points. When writing the conclusion of your research paper, you should follow these general rules. First, State your conclusion in clear and simple language. Second, do not simply reiterate the results or the discussion. And third, indicate opportunities for your future research as long as you haven't already done so in the discussion section of your paper. Now let's go back to conclusion number 1. In item number 1, the first sentence in the conclusion is written in active voice. Public commuters are still willing to use the new fare collection system even after the pandemic for the experience improvement in their overall commute routine. You should remember that you use present tense in the active voice to express general truth or facts or conclusions supported by the research results that are unlikely to change. In other words, something that is believed to be always true. Meanwhile, the second sentence in item number 1, in addition, the smart card can be used for other means like hotel accommodation and food stalls. This second sentence in item number 1 is written in the passive voice. You should remember that in some sentences, passive voice can be perfectly acceptable. You might use it in the following cases. First, if the actor is unknown and that we don't know who made the action. Example, the cave paintings of Lascaux were made in the Upper Old Stone Age. Next, if the actor is irrelevant and we are not interested who does the action. Example, an experimental solar power plant will be built in the Australian desert. Next one, if you want to be vague about who is responsible. Examples, mistakes were made. If you are talking about a general truth. Example, rules are made to be broken. If you want to emphasize the person or thing acted on. Example, insulin was first discovered in 1921 by researchers at the University of Toronto. It is still the only treatment available for diabetes. If you are writing in scientific genre, that traditionally relies on passive voice. Passive voice is often preferred in lab reports and scientific research papers, most notably in the materials and methods section. Example of these, the sodium hydroxide was dissolved into water. This solution was then titrated with hydrochloric acid. As for the second sentence of the conclusion number 1, in addition, the smart card can be used for other means like hotel accommodation and food stalls. Smart card is used as the subject of the sentence since the actor is irrelevant and we are not interested who does the action. Now let us proceed with the next example. The following recommendations were suggested to the public transport industry, transportation sectors, and future researchers based on the findings and conclusion. The researchers encouraged the Department of Transportation to continue using cashless fare payment systems like Beep Card and Smart Cards. These smart cards should present the instructional procedures inside the transport terminals and public service carriers that can be easily understood regardless of age. There should be also an adequate number of Beep Card kiosk machines and regular inspection. The researchers recommend to the future pursuers of the study to gather more than legal supporting data regarding the discipline of this study because these kinds of data were limited during the study was conducted. In this example, what part of research is presented? You are right. That part is recommendation. Recommendations are used to call for action or solutions to the problems you have investigated in your research paper. Your recommendations should highlight specific solutions and measures to be implemented based on the findings of your research. Here are a few guidelines to enable you to write a good recommendation for your research paper. First, it should be concrete and specific. Avoid beating around the bush. You can choose to restate the problem and then explain specific measures that can be used to solve those problems. The solutions or call for action should be specific for the problems you have stated earlier. Do not introduce new questions or problems at this point. The second one is the recommendation should connect to your conclusion. Your recommendation should logically support your conclusion and should be achievable. You should limit yourself to a few recommendations. It is possible that a single recommendation can be fitting for all of your conclusions. And lastly, it should explain how the solution you suggested can contribute to solving the problems you have stated. You should not just stop at putting down possible solutions. You should also explain how it can be solved, the problems highlighted in your research paper. Remember, when writing a recommendation, you should use active voice to highlight the doer of the action, but passive voice can also be used if the doer of the action is not defined. It appears that you already know the uses of active and passive voice in writing conclusions and recommendations of your research paper. Now, let us apply what you have learned. I want you to write the following sentences in the active voice by supplying the missing verbs. Are you ready? Let's begin. The implementation of the enhancement plan is recommended by the researchers. If we will change this statement to active voice, it will become like this. The researchers blank the implementation of the enhancement plan. What will be the correct verb? A, will recommend. B, recommend. Very good. The correct answer is letter B. The researchers recommend the implementation of enhancement plan. Let's try another one. Additional features of the cashless fare payment system is also proposed by the researchers. If we will change this statement to active voice, it will become like this. The researchers blank additional features of the cashless fare payment system. A, are also proposing. B, were also proposing. Very good. The correct answer is letter A. The researchers are also proposing additional features of the cashless fare payment system. Let's have the next one. Using quick response codes or QR code transactions in public transits as one of the continuous evolutions of public transportation in the Philippines is suggested by the researchers. You have to change this statement to active voice. The researchers blank using quick response codes or QR code transactions in public transits as one of the continuous evolutions of public transportation in the Philippines. What would be the correct verb for this statement? A, will suggest. B, suggest. Very good. The correct answer is letter B. The researchers suggest using quick response codes or QR code transactions in public transits as one of the continuous evolutions of public transportation in the Philippines. Let's have the next sentence. A concession agreement with the government transport authorities regarding the enhancement of the BIP card should be looked forward by the company BIP. If we will transform this into active voice, it will become, regarding the enhancement of the BIP card, the company BIP blank to having a concession agreement with the government transport authorities? A. Should be looked forward, or B. Should look forward? You got it correct. The correct answer is letter B. Regarding the enhancement of the beep card, the company Beep should look forward to having a concession agreement with the government transport authorities. Let's have the last one. The Unified Theory of Acceptance and Use of Technology by Venkatesh 2003 is recommended by the researchers to the study's future pursuers or their theoretical framework. Change this statement to active voice. The researchers blank that the study's future pursuers use the Unified Theory of Acceptance and Use of Technology by Venkatesh in 2003 as their theoretical framework. A. Recommend. B. Recommended. You got it correct. The correct answer is letter A. The researchers recommend that the study's future pursuers the use of Unified Theory of Acceptance and Use of Technology by Venkatesh in 2003 as their theoretical framework. Congratulations, Mouse students! You are doing a great job. Now, let us summarize our lesson by completing these statements. In a sentence written in the blank voice, the subject of the sentence performs the action. Very good. The correct answer is active voice. In a sentence written in the active voice, the subject of the sentence performs the action. In a sentence written in the blank voice, the subject receives the action. Great job! The correct word is passive voice. In a sentence written in the passive voice, the subject receives the action. Very good, Mouse students. You are now equipped with the skills in writing conclusions and recommendation of your research paper. This time, I want you to draft the conclusion and recommendation of your study. Do not forget to consult your research teacher.